Hey there, it's Dave Douglas with Music for Praise. We're going to talk about what a major scale is today. Isn't that exciting? Doesn't it get you going? Yeah, it does me. Everything that music builds on usually builds on different keys and different structures. The major scale is usually the most used key. So if we're in C or D or F or whatever key, it's usually a major key. Now there's a lot of things that are written in minor keys. A lot of pretty music written in minor keys, but today we're just going to deal with major because that's who I am. So what we start with, and I'm going to do it in the key of C so you can see it easily, but what we do is we go up the scale, and in the key of C, it's all white keys. We all know that sound, right? We know that that's a major scale, but how is that put together? It's really neat. You ready for this? There's a formula for you to be able to learn how to play a major scale no matter what note you start with. This is a half step. If I go from C to what we call C sharp, it's called D flat too, but in this case it's C sharp. We go from C to C sharp as a half step. Now, a half step and a half step is another one, is a whole step. Now, how do you define a half step? Simply put, a half step is the next closest note going up or down. That's a half step down. Half step up. All right, now, the major scale, you know, goes like this. With D, ooh, so what is that? That's a whole step. You know why? Because it's a half step and another half step. Two halves make a whole. Yeah, I think you got it. So you got a whole step. So the first note of a scale, you start with a C and a D. I seem to be having a problem with my hands today. C, D is a whole step. The next one is another whole step. So you've gone a half and a whole. So you have, we're building from the beginning, C to D is a whole step, to E is a whole step, to F is what? There's no black note in between here. So this to the next closest step is a half step. So the first four notes of a major scale are a whole step, and a half step. I call that 2 1/2. It's real easy. Now, the next note in the scale is, what is that? That is another whole step. So it's a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and finally a half step. I call that 3 1/2. So your formula for a major scale starts with one whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So 2 1/2, 3 1/2. Now, you say, well, that's great. Look, works for that key. Well, how about this key? We're going to start on an A flat. 2 1/2, 3 1/2. Here's one. There's a whole step. That's 2. There's a half step. That's 2 1/2. Now the whole step. 1, 2, because that's a whole step, half step. Guess what? We've just played an A flat major scale. Okay, how about we go down here and start on E? Watch this. We ready? What is it? Whole step. A whole step is 2 halves up. Whole step. Now what? Half step. 2 1/2. So there's your first four notes. Now we're 3, 2, 3 1/2. We've played an E major scale. Okay. So I've just taught you a formula that allows you to play a major scale no matter what note you start on. It's 2 1/2, 3 1/2, all done. All right, look for my next video, and we're going to start talking about intervals and what they're all about. This is Dave Douglas, Music for Praise. I need you to do me a big favor. go over there and subscribe. Thank you. We'll see you later.